If you're living with Mast Cell Activation Syndrome, you don't need another explanation of how exhausting and unpredictable it is. You already know. One day, it's flushing in hives. The next day, it's digestive chaos, heart racing, dizziness, brain fog, or reactions that seem to come out of nowhere. You're managing antihistamines, you're carrying epinephrine everywhere you go, and constantly trying to avoid triggers that never seem to stay the same. And then comes the most frustrating part. You're told it's idiopathic, which is just a clinical way of saying we don't really know why this is happening. So the focus becomes symptom management. More medications, more avoidance, more fear, but almost no one is asking the most important question of all. Well, why did your mast cells become hypersensitive in the first place? So this video is for parents and individuals who are tired of living in reaction mode. You're tired of chasing symptoms and tired of being told that this is something that you just have to manage forever. So today, we're going to talk about what's actually driving MCAS. Beneath the surface, we're going to unpack the nervous system's connection that often overlooked, even in functional medicine. We'll explain how the vagus nerve regulates mast cell activity, why chronic stress and neurological overload create the perfect environment for mast cell chaos, and why MCAS so often overlaps with conditions like POTS and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Most importantly, we'll talk about a drug-free foundational approach that focuses on restoring nervous system regulation instead of layering on more medications. Because when you understand the why, then real healing becomes possible. We see the same pattern over and over again in our office. Someone walks in with an MCAS diagnosis, a bag full of medications or supplements, and a trigger list that just keeps growing instead of shrinking. They've seen allergists, they've seen immunologists, they've seen gastroenterologists, and often functional medicine providers as well. Everyone agrees that mast cells are overactive, but almost no one can explain why. And that's because mast cell activation doesn't happen in isolation. So research shows that mast cells are constantly responding to signals from the autonomic nervous system. So when that communication system is dysregulated and stuck in a chronic stress response, mast cells begin reacting to inputs that should be harmless. Foods, temperatures, emotions, and environmental exposures that the body should tolerate suddenly feel threatening. So MCAS isn't just an immune problem. At its core, it's a nervous system problem. Mast cells are designed to protect you. They're your immune system's first responders. They release histamines when there's real danger. In MCAS, the issue isn't the presence of mast cells. It's that their activation threshold is set far too low. The immune system is regulated by the autonomic nervous system, especially the vagus nerve. Now, the sympathetic system acts like the gas pedal, so it's preparing the body for action. And then the parasympathetic system, this is driven largely by the vagus nerve, acts like the brakes. This is calming the body and restoring balance. In MCAS, the gas pedal, well, that's stuck down, and the brake isn't really working properly. The nervous system stays locked in this fight or flight, and mast cells respond exactly as they're wired to do by releasing histamine. This state of sympathetic dominance, well, this creates the perfect internal environment for mast cell chaos. And it doesn't develop overnight. MCAS doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It isn't random or bad luck. What we see is a slow build, often over years or decades, where the nervous and immune systems are completely overwhelmed by constant stress. For many girls, women, and moms, that stress begins early. The modern female body is exposed to unprecedented levels of chemical stress from endocrine disruptors, so pesticides, plastics, ultra-processed foods, mold, and inflammatory diets layered with long-term medication use like hormonal birth control, antibiotics, SSRIs, steroids, and acne medications. These exposures don't just affect hormones, they directly alter immune signaling and mast cell behavior, so priming the system to overreact. And then at the same time, the female body is cyclical and dynamic. Puberty, monthly hormonal shifts, pregnancy, postpartum depletion, breastfeeding, sleep deprivation, and perimenopause all place significant demands on the nervous system. And then add in physical stressors like overtraining, undereating, especially protein, chronic inflammation, concussions, car accidents, and prolonged screen time, and the body never truly resets. And there's emotional stress, which is often the most overlooked. Academic pressure, social media comparison, body image stress, relationship trauma, workplace burnout, financial strain, and caregiver overload. They all keep the brain in a chronic state of vigilance. Chronic emotional stress suppresses vagal tone, it reinforces sympathetic dominance, and it dysregulates immune function. Mast cells are directly responsive to stress hormones. So when the brain lives in fight or flight, mast cells, they just flow. Over time, this pattern progresses. Stress accumulates quietly at first, with symptoms like worsening PMS, migraines, anxiety, bloating, histamine sensitivity, and fatigue, even while labs, they may look normal. As regulation breaks down, the nervous system shifts fully into survival mode. Hormones become chaotic, cycles change, autoimmune markers start, POTS symptoms emerge, and mast cell reactivity increases. Eventually, the system loses its ability to discriminate. Mast cells begin reacting to temperature changes, food that they were once able to tolerate, smells, stress, hormone shifts, and supplements. It can feel like everything is a trigger. But the root isn't random sensitivity, it's long-standing autonomic nervous system dysregulation finally reaching a tipping point. This is also why MCAS so often clusters with POTS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, fibromyalgia, and other forms of dysautonomia. These conditions share a common thread: a nervous system that has lost its ability to regulate, adapt, and recover. Medications can be necessary and life-saving. Antihistamines and mast cell stabilizers, they help manage reactions and keep people safe, but they don't explain why mast cells became hypersensitive in the first place. If your parking brake is stuck, pressing harder on the gas pedal might help you move forward, but you're wearing out the engine and creating more damage. You still haven't released the brake. Now, the vagus nerve is that brake. When it isn't functioning properly, the body can't calm inflammatory responses or exit that survival mode. Conventional care often sees the mast cell problem, but misses the nervous system dysfunction that's driving it. This is where the neurological path forward begins. So in our office, we use insight scans to measure how the nervous system is actually functioning. Now, these scans reveal patterns of stress, regulation, and adaptability that doesn't show up on blood work. In people with MCAS, we typically see high sympathetic activity alongside low vagal tone, neurological exhaustion, and a reduced ability to adapt to stress. Neurologically-focused chiropractic care addresses subluxation or nervous system disruption. So, especially in areas where the vagus nerve is the most vulnerable. As neurological function improves, vagal tone increases, the nervous system exits chronic threat mode, and regulation begins to return. Now, often the scans improve way before the symptoms do. Many people see measurable nervous system changes weeks before noticing fewer reactions. That isn't a setback, that's healing from the inside out. When the foundation is restored, the immune, hormonal, and inflammatory systems can come back online over time. Now, this isn't about just chasing symptoms, it's about restoring the system that controls everything. So if you're living with MCAS and you're ready to stop managing reactions and start understanding what's driving them, the next step is looking at your nervous system. So you can click the link in our bio. You can send us a message to learn more about how these patterns show up and what they mean for your health. Now, our insight scans take about 10 to 15 minutes, and they often provide clarity that people have been searching for years. And if you're ready to schedule care, you can just go ahead and give us a call at E320 Chiropractic. You can do that as well. You'll find the links in our bio. You can message us, and our team will help you get started. So your nervous system and your immune system were designed to regulate, recover, and heal, not to live in constant overreaction. When the nervous system finds balance again, the body can finally exhale. We'd be honored to walk with you as you move out of survival mode and toward real, lasting healing.